Keeping with the same message that I have talked about in my previous videos, and that is one of these days we are going to get to travel again. And when that day arrives, I want you to be prepared with a few of the safety tips that I'm going to present today to you. We are all too familiar with the safety presentation that the stewardess does at the beginning of every flight, and for very good reason that they do that. But there are some things that they should be telling us because, well, when we're presented with an emergency situation, we don't always act in the most calmest and rational way. And so here are some things that maybe you need to keep in mind when you are flying the next time. For instance, the first 8 minutes when you take off and 8 minutes just before you land, this is the time that you need to be the most alert, you need to be calm, and you need to be aware of your surroundings. And this is the reason why you should keep your shoes on. Is it okay? I mean, I love these shoes. Those shoes you probably shouldn't wear those at all on any flight. Okay, you just keep your shoes on because you want to be prepared just in case. Also, laptops, put those away. This is not the time that you need to be distracted. So again, focus exactly on where you are. Take a look at where you're sitting right now and look for the exits. At this time, of course, the stewardess is going to let you know where those exits are. So you want to visualize where are those exits and visualize your escape plan, okay? Just in case, because remember, when you're panicking, you get up from your seat. You're just not sure which way you want to go. So again, just take this moment just to visualize where you are. Now, keeping that in mind, where are the safest seats on the plane? Over the wings, okay? So over the wings are the safest seats. However, you can count 4 rows forward or 4 rows back from that, and you're also still within the safety zone. So those are the best seats when you are booking that you'd like to be just in case. However, the safest seat on the flight is the one that's facing backwards, and of course that is reserved for the cabin crew. At this time, you may also want to practice with your seatbelt. Now, again, during the presentation, they are telling you exactly how to put the seatbelt together and to take it off. However, again, in a state of emergency, in a state of panic, what you tend to do is remember your car seatbelt, you press a button to release yourself. And so that's what generally people do, is they start pressing like crazy to get the seatbelt off. So the seatbelt is something that you just want to visualize or practice just lifting that flap so that you are prepared if and when that moment should ever come. Another thing to keep in mind is try and keep your group together. If it's a group, if it's a family, if there's an emergency situation, what is your instinct? Your instinct is to get to whomsoever you're flying with. And in some cases, they may be at the back of the plane, so you're fighting other people to get back there because instinctually you want to make sure they're okay. So try and keep your family, your group together. That way, if anything should happen, you all can move together as a unit. Also, when the time comes and you have to get that life jacket, well, in some cases, actually, they might as well have put your meal underneath the seat, because if you're going to be scrambling for that life jacket underneath there, you might as well get your meal, because it might very well be the last meal that you have. Rarely do you need that life jacket. And in most cases, anyways, when people do get them, they don't put them on properly and they start inflating them right away. Should I blow it up now? Yeah, no, not yet. Like I said, they start inflating them right away, and you can well imagine what's going to happen in that cabin with everybody with their life jackets inflated. So leave the jackets alone for now. Wait until you're fully instructed to get those jackets in hopefully a calm and rational way, and in most cases you probably don't need them anyways. The other thing too is when the oxygen masks fall, if it's at low altitude, generally you can put your mask on, but you'll be fine because there's enough oxygen in the cabin itself. However, if you're at cruising altitude, you only have 30 seconds before the oxygen level starts to drop dramatically. And so you want to take that mask, put it on yourself first, make sure it's securely fastened, and then put that on any dependents that you have with you. Another thing to keep in mind also when you're on that flight is make sure your arms and legs are inside and they're not in the aisle at all. A lot of people fall asleep with their arms hanging out, or they've got their children in their laps and the kids' legs are hanging out. Not a good idea. And that's because if there's any kind of turbulence or any kind of sudden movement, those carts, they're way over 100 pounds, and if they make a sudden movement forward, they could end up injuring yourself, or if you have your child's legs and arms out, it could actually end up hurting them, injuring them, breaking something. And my last safety tip, and I left it for last because it is the most important one. It is the one I want you to ingrain in your head. When the plane has landed, and you are in an emergency situation, you generally have 90 seconds to get off that plane. They're going to instruct you, they're going to direct you. You've got 90 seconds to get yourself together and get off the plane. Do not, I repeat, do not stop to get your overhead luggage. Okay? Anything that's in there could never be more important than your life or somebody else's life. And don't forget, you've just come through a turbulent situation. So if you open up that overhead bin, things have shifted. A lot of times this is when injuries happen, because people have bottles in there, like if they've got that from their duty-free shop, and that just comes flying out and it hits somebody in the head, and now you've got a head injury, which didn't need to be. Number one, and number two is that you're taking out your luggage and now you've got to drag that with you, which is blocking the aisles, which is blocking somebody else from getting through. Do not open the overhead bins, and do not stop to get your luggage. There is nothing more important than your life. And with that, that is my final message, and these are some of the safety tips that I wanted to bring to your attention for your next flight. It isn't everything that's in that safety presentation that the airlines is telling you that is all encompassing. There are definitely some things that need to be said, should be said, and I wanted to bring that to your attention today. Thank you so much again for joining me. It's always a pleasure to keep you up to date in the news and with my tips, and I just want to make sure that you're safe. That's all. However, if this is your first time visiting this channel, please consider subscribing by hitting the subscribe button that's down below, as well as the bell. It'll notify you that I've just uploaded a new video. Until then, have yourself a wonderful week. I will see you again in the next video. We'll talk soon. Ciao for now. Adios. Really glad I took this flight. Thank you so much for that information. You have saved thousands of lives.